Library Board of Trustees for the specific purpose of acting on nominee recommendations to the City Council. I'm going to have our Vice Chair and Chair of the Governance Committee run things today, basically, since I'm only half Zooming here. Okay, since I'm only half Zooming here, but I do want to bring up a couple of real quick things, and I'm going to turn it over to David. One, let's try to stay out, even like the Juneteenth discussion that was a couple of people had started in before things casually. Don't want to talk about anything other than the purpose of this meeting today on the nominees. The second is that a couple of people individually have commented or brought up questions about diversity and race, and I want to just make it really clear that I thought about this issue and talked to governance about this, and I also checked with legal because I wasn't really sure what and how we can proceed on that. And the response from legal is that we may not discuss race. We may not ask nominees about their race. We may not discuss it as a group that this person or that person would be nice because he or she balances. So race is off the topic list for today for any of these nominees. Okay? Good. David, I'm going to turn it over to you to just run through sort of where we are and the Governance Committee nominations, recommendations.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
Sure.
As you all know, we have 4 seats, of which 1 has already been decided, Brent Graves. That leaves us with 3. That is, with Daisy and I leaving, is 2. And the long-running Tanya saga is coming to an end June 30th, so that is the 3rd open seat. The Governance Committee proposes, well, let me give you some background. You know, we've been looking hard for finance people, and fortunately hit paved dirt this past 2 weeks. If you'll notice, Sharon Gunter Carter, she a longtime educator. We talked about some of the board's needs, and she laughed when we came to facilities. She said, I was assistant principal at TJ, and I had Bouchall and Franklin Military Academy. She says, I'm familiar with decrepit buildings, and had a good laugh over that. Dealing with contractors, ways around things. So that was reassuring. Very interested, asked a lot of smart questions. She is excited about possibly seeing us forge a closer relationship with Richmond Public Schools, and we've discussed that as a board before. So with her experience in there, that would be a good in to the school system. The second is Garrett Sawyer, very bright guy. You may recognize his name. He ran for city council, unsuccessfully, obviously, but is well connected. He, during the course of our conversation, he said that he had most of the city council on speed dial and was on a first name basis with them, which couldn't hurt when we politic for things that we need, like budget, right, Scott?
Yep.
And so he's an HR background. He's been involved with budgeting. He's very comfortable with the finance end of it and presenting budgets and budget numbers. The third person is Gail Werner, who's a previous board member. She was waist deep in facilities when she was here. She handled the renovation, Scott. I think she mentioned.
Yeah, she was the chair of the facilities committee and helped develop the current RFP that, well, the beginning of the RFP that we're trying to put out right now. So yeah, Gail is very familiar with the library, served on the board for 8 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I would mention she helped guide us through renovation of all the branches, basically, too.
That's right. All the branches. So those are the 3 names that we're putting forward. Also, I'll note that Daisy reached out to Sharon Gunter also to touch base with her. And Daisy, do you have any comments you care to share on your conversation?
Yes, I had a good conversation with Sharon. And as David said, she's very interested in the connection between the school system and the library, which is something that I wholeheartedly support. And I support her as a possibility.
Thank
And
you.
David, I should mention I spoke to Garrett last night, and I think he would definitely bring some strength in the finance side, where we're losing Daisy as head of the finance there. So it'd be nice to have somebody who's got a little experience in dealing with that and with governmental agencies.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Bill. So those are recommendations to you all. Were there any comments or feedback?
Well, I guess the question I have is, for the other candidates, did you also interview the rest of them as well?
Did not. Did a triage on them, look for the skill set we were looking for, and ended up with those.
Okay.
So if there
Well, I have a thought.
no comments on that. Yes, ma'am.
What, Janet?
Me? You're asking for my thought?
Oh, I thought you'd said something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a thought.
Okay.
We always want your thoughts, Janet.
I think we have good candidates, and I'm not comfortable with recycling at this point.
Well, I guess
What does
the
that
only,
mean?
you're saying for someone who's previously served on the board?
Yes.
Well,
No, my thought is I'm very comfortable with Gail coming back because she's such a hard worker. She has such keen interest and she has a lot of knowledge of what's going on with the facilities.
Mhm.
So I am very comfortable with Gail.
and I think
I would echo that.
And I was going to say, I think she'll bring that historical piece that she carries the history of the library in a way that a lot of people who are on the board don't share. But I think the infusion of persons who are coming from some other background, as we say, we're looking at people from finance, that's a good thing. But I think she'll bring a needed skill set that we also need in terms of persons who really and truly understand the library.
And she'll hit the ground.
I would echo that.
Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Right. I mean, we actually have had such turnover now on the board with Kevin leaving, with Daisy and David rolling off, with Tanya having sort of been AWOL and now being off the board. Barbara and I are really the old hands, and I think it would be nice to have someone with a little more experience, frankly, even than I have on that.
And I think Gail's experience
Go ahead.
I think Gail's experience is working with contracts in the city would be a big plus because it is not easy to navigate.
Yeah.
Yes, but she wouldn't actually be doing that.
Well, if she brings the knowledge and she would help.
Well, I guess my concern is that when you recycle, you're not bringing new voices and new talents to the board.
Let's see, you will have 3 people with experience, and then I believe you have, about 6 without?
6 without, that's right, Daisy.
Yeah.
Right.
I think just the fact that just looking at how the structure of the board is changing, you're automatically going to get, Janet, your concern is going to get addressed because no person who's currently serving would have the vote or the power to be able to change the direction the board was wanting to go in. But I just think that sometimes, and I know the board has had issues in the past when both the chair and the vice chair have left at the same time, and when that has happened, it is a difficulty for for us just looking, because there's certain historical pieces that do need to be maintained if there's any way to do it. And she's also a very workable person. I mean, working with her was, on the years that I served with her, was always great because she's a great listener. She listens, and she also is willing to do the work. She's willing to work hard if there's something that she needs to learn in order to make this work for us. So
She did compile quite a folder during the first phase. She spent a lot of time at home working on this. She's very passionate about it. She has the time to do it now because she's retired. And like you were saying, Barbara, she has the institutional knowledge that will help carry a board with 6 relatively new folks coming on or have come on. But I also see where you're coming from, Janet. But since I've been on here, there have been few people who've ended up finishing their terms or going the distance. And that's been the wild card, which is why we have that many people coming on this year. It's supposed to be staggered each year, so you don't lose a lot of people at one time.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt there's going to be more seats coming up as people are unable to meet the attendance requirements or have personal issues. Any more discussion? All right. What I propose to do is to call out.
Can I make a motion to accept your recommendations?
Thank you. That's perfect.
Second.
All right.
second.
I have a second.
A second.
Okay. Could I have a show of all in favor?
David, you have to do a roll call. I sent
All
you
right.
a roll call form.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do this. Barbara?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Could you,
All right,
could you
Bill?
name the 4 that we're talking about?
The 3. Oh, well, one we've already voted on. That
Graves.
was Graves, Brent Graves, remember?
Okay.
And then the 3 are Sharon Carter, Garrett Sawyer, and Gail Zwerner. So,
And
Bill?
I vote aye. Split the ticket.
All right. Chris?
Aye.
Daisy?
I,
David? Aye. Emily?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
All right. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you all for that. Also, we have 2 members, Bill and Barbara, are up for their 2nd term. Just as a show of support, I would like to have a vote on or of affirmation to council that both these people, our board endorses their continuing another 4 years. So could I have a motion?
I move we endorse the continuation of Bill Yates and Barbara.
I second.
Emily's a second. Thank you.
You have to
All
do
in
a roll
favor?
call.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna
Okay.
do. Okay, Barbara,
Yes.
was that a yes?
Yes, it was.
Oh, thank you. Bill,
Yes.
Chris,
Aye.
Daisy,
Yes.
David, yes. Emily,
Yes.
Janet.
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously. I will take this information and submit it to boards and commissions. And Scott, Bill, may have missed that, but Scott had something he wanted to add to the party.
I don't know if I'm allowed to
Go ahead. I'm
I
not
don't know if
sure that we're allowed to discuss anything today other than nominations, but if Donna doesn't object, we can quickly touch on what's your topic?
The mayor's declared that Friday, June 19th will be a holiday for the city. And I wanted to know if you all endorse that closure and approve the library being closed on that day. Since we are in advance of it.
I don't know that this is the appropriate time on it or not, but because we have a short window before that date and will not have a meeting before then, I guess, somebody can make a motion that we accept the mayor's closing for Juneteenth, and we'll close the library on that same date.
Prior to that, a little institutional knowledge here for you all. The reason this has to be done is because the city has 3 independent organizations: the school board, Architectural Review Commission, and the library. And technically, we decide, that's why Scott asked, we decide yes or no. So if anybody feels strong, if this board feels strong, not bound by that, although traditionally we have gone with that. So with that knowledge, go ahead and take a motion.
I move that we agree to close on Friday in accordance with the mayor's announcement.
Second that motion.
All right.
We need to take a roll call vote, David, I think, because of the Zoom, right? Yeah.
That's on my
correct.
agenda. Barbara,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Daisy.
Yes, with reservation, but it is.
David, a yes
There you
with further reservations. Emily
Yes.
and Janet.
Yes, with no reservations.
All right,
Okay.
unanimously. And
So David,
Michelle,
before
I'll let
you
convey that
close,
to-
Yeah.
Yes.
David, before you close the meeting, I'd like to just quickly do one final thing, which is to thank you and Daisy. We need to do that in person, and I hope that at the next full in-person meeting of the board, that we can have y'all come, even though your terms will have ended, because we'd love to thank you in person and at least have one last lunch with you while we discuss things. So I hope that can work out soon.
Well, in lieu of a
Thank you,
watch,
Bill.
I am looking forward to a chocolate cake.
Chocolate? Okay. Is
We
that
can
your
probably
flavor,
arrange
chocolate?
something there.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I
Make
just
that
wanted to
happen.
mention though that this. Yeah, normally we'd make a much bigger deal on the last meeting of someone like this, but on the Zoom it's a little bit tricky. So I do
It is.
appreciate though the real work that you and Daisy have both done, and I just wish that we had 2 more years of each of you, because I could sure use that. But I know the newbies will fill in adequately and well quickly. So.
All right.
You want to go ahead
Thank you,
and,
Bill. Thank you.
David, you're running things. So I'm going to let you adjourn the meeting. I think those are all the topics though, that we were supposed to cover today.
If there's no further related business, I make a motion, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
You just close it.
You just
Let's
close
close it. I close this
You just
meeting.
close it today.
You
Thank you
all
very
be
much.
Bye.
safe. Have a good week.